Thank you very much, and I'm glad that everybody was able to come out here today. This is truly a great day for the City of Gainesville. Today we have the privilege of swearing in 2 new members of the City Commission. But before we do that, I just want to bring this meeting to order. And then also, we have a roll call. All current commissioners are here. And at this time, we'll have the invocation, please.
Good afternoon. Will you join me in prayer? Loving one, what a gift it is to live in Gainesville. We give thanks for the abundance of this land, the vibrancy of our city, and the beautiful diversity of its people. Remind these leaders of the joy and privilege of their service. Just one, how much further we have to go until our community is truly whole. Give these leaders the strength and wisdom to work for the safety, equity, and opportunity of every citizen. Compassionate one, we give thanks for the struggle and sacrifice to which you have called these leaders and to which they have said yes. May they find in the people hopeful and hardworking allies. Grant them rest and peace as they engage this challenging work, and bless us all as we seek to live into your vision of beloved community. Amen.
Raise your right hand. I.
Adrian Hayes-Santos.
Do
solemnly swear.
that I will support.
Honor. Protect.
And defend. The Constitution. And government. Of the United States. And of the state of Florida. That I am duly qualified. To hold office. Under the Constitution. Of the state. And under the charter. Of the City of Gainesville. And that I will. Faithfully. Perform the duties. Of City Commissioner. On which I am now about to enter. Congratulations. I need you to put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. I, Lauren Poe, do solemnly swear that I will support, honor, and protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and of the state of Florida. That I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state and under the charter of the City of Gainesville. That I will well and faithfully perform the duties of mayor on which I am now about to enter. Congratulations.
Kind of a surreal moment. Kind of more surreal than I thought it would be. It's exciting. Thank you so much. So running for office was an amazing experience. I couldn't have asked for anything better than to talk to so many diverse people about what makes Gainesville great and what we can do to make it better. I'm passionate about where our city's going. I'm excited about the uniqueness we have and where we can go as a city and moving it forward. I want you to know that as a city commissioner, Gainesville's uniqueness will be paramount in how I vote on the city commission. I first want to say that without an incredible amount of support from friends, family, volunteers, people I've never met who help spread the word, I wouldn't be your city commissioner. Truly, thank you. Thank you truly from the bottom of my heart. I mean, you guys are around. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, there's no greater feeling than when someone comes up to you, someone you've never met, and says, I believe in your passion, I believe in your vision for Gainesville and where it's going. It gives you that push to make a difference, to not give up, to get things done. Because I know that we have an amazing city, amazing community, but there's a lot that we need to do to make Gainesville a better place. Now, I want to start by truly thanking everyone on our campaign. We had volunteers who worked months on the campaign, and thank you so much. There are a couple of people I want to mention by name who really were always there throughout the time. My mother, Adrian Hayes, who's here right now. She was a single mother raised by her, and she was an incredible help on the campaign, always there every day, anytime. And I also want to thank Bob Karp. He was always a phone call away. For any question I had, he was always there. He was always there to cover any base that needed to be covered. Thank you. But mostly importantly, I want to thank the so many other volunteers that we had on our campaign. I think we had close to over 50 or 60 volunteers who helped out. And we had dedicated volunteers who walked door to door, even in our great kind of snowstorm we had this winter. They're out there. We had a few flurries. We had volunteers who made calls every week for months and months. We had hundreds of people who gave both small and large donations, people who gave up their nights, weekends, afternoons, and mornings, because they believed in a vision for a better Gainesville, a greater Gainesville. It's because of you and your support that we received every single endorsement in this race. And we had the highest percentage margin of victory in the history of Gainesville elections. Thank you. And before I kind of go on and where I think the city needs to go, I want to thank Randy Wells. He's been a great commissioner, someone who I've looked up to. Over the years, how he's been on the commission is someone that I really truly have looked up to, and I look forward to being similar and looking to you for guidance. He has been someone who has always brought forward thoughtful discussion. I think you would agree as well. I mean, he was there bringing forth thoughtful discussion. He got things done, and he had a caring heart. And I look forward, thank you for your service, and I look forward to expanding on what you've done when I'm on the city commission. Thank you. Now I want to talk kind of about a revelation I had a few years ago. A few years ago, I moved down to St. Petersburg from Gainesville. I was burned out. I was working 100 hours weeks at a startup, and I was tired. I couldn't take it anymore. I was looking for something different and unique. And after spending some time down in St. Petersburg, it's a great city, but I came to realize that the uniqueness I was looking for, that different quality, was where I'd come from, and I moved back to Gainesville. Gainesville was that unique place that we've all come to love. And I moved back to here because we have an amazing community. We have an amazing place. We have a community full of diverse cultures, great parks, historic neighborhoods, a top university and college, great music, arts, and parks, and people. We have a unique character that you just can't find in many places. And we have a city that we need to cherish. But we also have a city that's not working for everyone. A city that can be better. That's why I ran for office, to make Gainesville a better place to live, work, and play for everyone in our community. To not just focus on the little things, but focus on transformational projects that can make a real difference in our community. I'm talking about real projects that can have real impact on Gainesville and where we're heading over the next 20, 30, 40 years. Projects like ending the digital divide that affects too many people in our community, and expanding high-speed broadband internet that will lower prices for everyone in Gainesville. There is no greater equalizer than the access to knowledge, and we need to take action now. to ensure that we do not leave another generation behind who need our help the most out of our future economies. There are things that we can do now to lower our GRU rates. We can lower rates immediately for the majority of city residents by moving to a 5-tier rate plan system that will make a real impact in people's lives. We also need to focus on real economic development for all the people in Gainesville. The city needs to be a leader and pay a living wage. We need to expand our bus transportation system so that it reaches all parts of Gainesville. We need to focus on the east side to create good paying jobs in our city and to work to create substantial economic projects like our Waldo Road, Takachali East Side Job Center. You know, it's going to take work. It's going to take a lot of collaborative work, but if we put our minds together, we actually get out there and do stuff, we can get things done and actually make a difference on the east side. I think this is an ample opportunity to do that. We need to create a government that is focused on the people it's supposed to represent. We need a transparent, citizen-centered government that meets the needs of Gainesville residents. We need to remove needless bureaucracy and empower our city employees to be creative. I believe that we can create a government that we can be proud of and that puts the people first and is there with a helping hand. We are a community that's surrounded by our environment, an environment that is loved by the people who live here. I love our trees and parks. I grew up on them. And Gainesville should have a world-class park system, and we can make that happen by funding the Parks Master Plan. I want to build a connected trail system throughout our community, making accessibility a priority and increase funding for adding and fixing sidewalks in our existing neighborhoods, expanding recycling efforts, and ensure that we have affordable youth programs for all the children in Gainesville. And lastly, one of my main focuses is working on our downtown, to not only have our downtown be the cultural hub for our city, but the cultural hub for our region. I will work to make our downtown vibrant and activities for all people of all ages, all races. We need a downtown that's inclusive and is the heart of our city. Our downtown is the heart of our city, and we need to treat it that way and invest in the strengths of our downtown. When we look at these transformational projects, we need to know that we can't go at it alone. It's going to take our community coming together, working with stakeholders, being collaborative, working with the University of Florida, our school board, our county commissioners, to move our city in a forward direction. You know, also, probably most importantly, it's going to take working with my fellow city commissioners, and this is kind of where I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to working with you, being collaborative, and getting real things done. I truly do believe that we can do that. I'm passionate and excited about the future of Gainesville and where we're going as a city. It's going to take work, and I'm ready to help us reach these opportunities. But I truly do believe that together, we can make Gainesville a better place to live, work, and play for everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all and welcome. It means so much to me. It means so much to all of us that you've taken time out of your day to join us in this great occasion. I would like to thank, first of all, my family, my mother and father who are here, my wife, and I think that my youngest daughter, Beatrice, has made her presence known to all, as well as my oldest daughter, Elizabeth. You three are the joys of my life, and it means so much that you're here with me today. I also have my aunt and uncle visiting from Washington, D.C., and thank you so much for making the trip and being here with me today. I have lots of friends and family who were not able to make it today, but have sent me their blessings and well wishes, via the virtual world. And then I'd also like to thank my commission. And I would like for all of you to take a snapshot in your mind of this commission today, because what you're going to remember years from now is it was this commission that started the transformational work that made Gainesville one of the preeminent cities in the entire country. It's going to be these people right here. So to my family and my friends, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to embark on this endeavor for the betterment of our community. Because of our shared sacrifice, we will be building a better community for our daughters and all the sons and daughters to come after us. I would also like to thank my campaign team, especially Amir, Cynthia, Evelyn, and Roosevelt, who were there every step of the way for me and worked to make this campaign a success. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank the 16,384 voters who cast their ballots for me. That's more votes than any candidate in the history of Gainesville elections, and a clear message from our community that you want me to get to the hard work of creating an exceptional and hopeful Gainesville. I love Gainesville. That in and of itself is nothing exceptional. I very much doubt that there are any of you in this room that do not, too, love Gainesville. We all share that common bond. Therefore, we are all capable of working together to create a more perfect Gainesville by harnessing that interconnected love we all have for our city. But what makes for a more perfect city? That great debate has been taking place in town squares and duomos, taverns and parlors, agoras and city halls for millennia. And for as many great cities as our world has fostered, so too have there been the detractors, the naysayers, and the emotional pugilists. Cities are the great social construct of our species. We have created the city to better our collective selves, to become more than we ever could be as individuals, to become more perfect. The great urbanist Jane Jacobs, whose 100th birthday we just celebrated the world over, had this to say about the city. Cities have the capability to provide something for everybody only because and only when they are created by everybody. With a collective voice, cities have been the fertile ground from which has sprouted the great cultural, artistic, medical, academic, moral, ethical, and emotional advances of our species. They have been the loom that have spun the great tapestries of our times. But cities too often are not inclusive of all of her inhabitants. It is a common refrain that people are not welcomed into the collective creative process, and as a result, we end up with a city that does not offer something or anything for everybody. It is at this point, as Plato points out in the Republic, that the city is sick and will wage war against itself. And this is where we pick up the story of Gainesville. Gainesville is a great city for many of our residents. You enjoy a great quality of life, live in a safe and harmonious neighborhood. Your children attend good schools, and you have enriching activities when they leave school. You have a good job with good benefits, and you can get to where you need with little effort or frustration. Life is good. But to others, this description of our city is an illusion, a false narrative. You live in a city that is dangerous, lacking basic amenities and decent schools. Your children are more worried about their next meal and navigating the challenging life that exists all around them. You work multiple jobs for low pay, and you know your next medical bill may mean eviction from your modest home. Your parks are occupied by those wishing to do your child harm, especially after dark, and you have trouble getting to where you need to be, regardless of the time of day. Your Gainesville is the furthest thing from perfect. For Gainesville to become more perfect, we need to be more equitable. O let the nations be glad and sing for joy, for thou wilt judge the peoples with equity and govern the nations upon earth. Civic equity means a city that works for everyone, regardless of income, age, race, or gender. There are many reasons why Gainesville faces the equity divide that we have today. Gainesville started as a racially and economically segregated town, a legacy of, at first, a slave community, and later a community living under the yoke of Jim Crow laws that forced inequity upon all of our residents. These racist policies became woven into the institutional fabric of our city. The legal basis for this inequity began to get dismantled with the civil rights rulings and legislation of the 1950s and 60s, but de facto segregation endured. And while cities, including our own, have been slowly peeling away the institutional imperatives and policies that have not only created but defended our inequity, the foundation of exclusion hatched upon our original sin still exists. We are far from more perfect. This is the reality of the city that I love, that we all love. And when something we love is sick, we have a responsibility to bring it back to health. This is our collective opportunity. We can heal our city and restore, nay, create for the first time, equity in Gainesville. We together can create a more perfect city. Through new and ambitious approaches to how we serve our children, and how we provide safe and effective transportation and achievable housing, and how we grow good jobs and expand economic opportunity, and how we ensure food and energy security to all of our residents, and in how we transform the very government we all are a part of, we will create a more perfect city. So, where do we begin? In order to have equity, you must have a safe and affordable place to live. Part of Gainesville's legacy of racial and economic segregation is one of the highest concentrations of poverty in the state and even the nation. Part of this solution is to work to implement a living wage community-wide. It starts with the city and those the city does business with. I do not believe that a single one of our residents wants their tax dollars to pay for a wage that keeps people in poverty and dependent upon government assistance. But even more than inequity brought on by income inequality, concentration of poverty is the most destructive force that can be levied on any community. The data is clear. There is a direct correlation between the concentration of poverty and high crime rates, poor mental and physical health, poor school performance, and high dropout rates. People living in areas of concentrated poverty have much weaker employment-seeking networks and a much higher level of financial insecurity, both a result of an absence of a private safety net. One piece to deconcentrating poverty is to promote policies that make it more realistic for residents to find attainable housing, defined as housing that costs less than 30% of a household's monthly income. We need to enact the right tools for the right problems, and one-size-fits-all approach will never work. We need to look at more inclusionary zoning policies while eliminating market barriers that prevent innovative housing models such as cooperative ownership, co-housing communities, tiny housing opportunities, and container communities, and other ways of providing safe and attainable places to live throughout our city. Let me tell you the story of Mary, a kind and elderly lady we met on the campaign trail. When we visited her home asking for her support and sharing our views about Gainesville, her eyes lit up when we started talking about GRU bills. You see, Mary was one of the fortunate people who were able to get assistance from the Community Weatherization Coalition. The volunteers at the CWC helped Mary upgrade her old, inefficient home with real cost-saving solutions that ended up saving her almost 50% on her electric bill. With tears of joy in her eyes, she pleaded with us to help more people like her From preliminary data gathered by the CWC, an average investment of around $500 saves a customer around 25% on their GRU bill. Let's bring equity to all of the people like Mary. Let's invest in a more perfect utility for the people it serves. Another key element in an equitable city is a transportation system that is safe and works for everybody. The Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights insists that access to affordable and reliable transportation widens opportunity and is essential to addressing poverty, unemployment, and other equal opportunity goals such as access to good schools and healthcare services. According to the Federal Highway Administration, African American pedestrian deaths are 70% higher than those of whites. The figure for Hispanic Americans is barely lower at 62%. In a city where over 30% of our residents east of 13th Street use the bicycle as their primary mode of transportation, safety issues are even more critical. In 2014, there were 82 crashes in which a person driving a car struck a person on a bicycle, and 40 crashes in which a person walking was hit by a person in a car. In total, there were 27 fatalities on Alachua County roads in 2014, 87 since 2012. Nationally, car-related crashes are the #1 cause of death for people between the ages of 1 and 39, and the second leading cause of death for seniors. Layer on top of these hazards a person with a disability, and the outlook is even more dire. How many of these deaths are acceptable? I say none. Life is precious. I will not accept that a single life is worth sacrificing in the name of convenience or speed. When we knew that seat belts would save lives, we changed the laws, we increased education, we saw highway deaths plummet. When we could no longer tolerate deaths caused by drunk drivers, we got mad. We changed our laws, increased education, and saw deaths plummet. We can do the same for our roads here in Gainesville, so join me in placing safety as our first priority when making transportation decisions for our community. There's also a high social and economic cost of transportation borne by our poorest residents, most of whom live on the east side of Gainesville. Low to moderate income residents spend a whopping 42% of their income on transportation, while for middle income household that number drops to 22%. But in neighborhoods well served by quality transit options, that percentage drops to a mere 9%. Beyond the burden of transportation places on the individual, there too is a collective cost. Traffic crashes cost our community more than $1.2 billion between 2012 and 2014, with $158 million alone from crashes involving people on bicycles and on foot. The huge personal and social cost of not providing safe and affordable transportation options for our residents is a moral and civil rights failure. Combine these facts with the findings of the Economic Development Research Group that every $1 billion invested in public transportation creates or supports 36,000 jobs, $3.6 billion in consumer spending, and $500 million in tax revenue. It is a clear economic development objective to invest in a complete transportation structure. But the hopeful clarion call of civil rights for too many of our city is a hollow sound when they're isolated from jobs, attainable housing, their place of worship, adequate food resources, medical care, or recreation. Like John. With desperation in his voice and confusion in his eyes, John stumbled into the Visit Gainesville offices downtown. You see, after looking for months, John had landed a job in Southwest Gainesville. But with the sweat of desperation dripping from his tattooed arms, John had no way to get to his new job. The kind staff helped John map a bus route involving 3 changes and more than an hour of travel. While gracious for their help, it was too late for John. He was sure he had missed his opportunity and left, dejected and broken. What about all of the Johns in Gainesville, cut off from opportunity because they simply cannot get to it? Is it not our moral obligation to build a city that allows people to connect with jobs, doctors, schools, and friends? We must speak with one voice for equity and mobility. Together, we can connect with one another in a more perfect city. We also must provide the full measure of economic opportunity to all of our residents. In order to achieve this economic equity, we must be singularly focused on the redevelopment of downtown and East Gainesville. For the first time in generations, there is real hope and opportunity east of Main Street. Along with our city's efforts to bring critical business development to the GTEC expansion area and to Hatchet Creek, we have the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to partner with Plum Creek to completely transform the Waldo Road corridor. Make no mistake, this will not be an easy lift, and the path to success will be littered with the landmines of cynicism, doubt, timidity, and recreational oppositionalism. But we will not be deterred. We will start by working together on developing the fairground site with the same enthusiasm and creativity we marshaled towards Innovation Square. We will use the momentum built from that collaboration to make a reality a 21st century economic model that will include opportunity for all with the exclusion of none. It is time for our city to be bold. The more perfect city will empower, nurture, and support our local entrepreneurs. We need to invest in our local startups and keep them here in Gainesville by creating an evergreen fund for early stage capital. We need to be audacious and set a goal of creating 500 new businesses in the next 10 years. We will build a city that fosters new business from high-tech to biotech, hair salons and music shops, eateries and bodegas, and everything in between. We will become a city where you decide to make a job, not take a job. Some of the work in building a more perfect city will be clear and immediate. For example, we can help the children of one of our pockets of some of the most concentrated poverty in our city, Pine Ridge, where my mother teaches music to a group of children a few times a week after school. Several young members of Pine Ridge wrote me letters sharing what they felt would make their corner of the city a little more perfect. A basketball court for all of the young people wandering around with a basketball, but no basket. A swimming pool because it gets hot in the summer, although I bet they would settle for a ride to the swimming pools we already have. Close the park at night so the drug dealers don't hang out there. We have it within us to permanently change the lives of these children and children all around our city with just a little civic investment and a whole lot of community love. The University of Florida, my alma mater, has embarked on a challenge to become the preeminent university in the nation. They're working to be better than all the rest, all of them. We also host Santa Fe, the preeminent college in the entire nation. We're number one. The superintendent of the Alachua County School Board has set a goal of a 100% graduation rate. Another part of the foundation of our community, unwilling to do anything but be the very best. Is it not within us, here in Gainesville, to become the preeminent city in the nation? I believe that any goal to be less dismisses the collective greatness that may be unappreciated and underutilized, but is ready to rise up with a century and a half's pent-up energy and verve. In order to become the preeminent city in the nation, we will need to do more than fill potholes, cut the grass, and keep the power on. We will need to become a more perfect police department, evolving our interactions with the community to reflect a new understanding of how to best help our residents and keep them out of trouble. Our jails can no longer be our mental health treatment centers, drug treatment facilities, or homeless shelters. We need to rewrite our policies and retrain our officers to be more sensitive towards differences of race, circumstances of mental health, and effects of poverty. We need a more perfect parks and recreation system, one that is a teammate with the school board and private service providers, working together to ensure that every child has something meaningful to do between 3 and 6 in the afternoon. We know what works, and we know the consequences if we fail. The Reichert House model shows us that we can take the most at-risk youth in our community and all but guarantee graduation and a future filled with hope and opportunity. Now, while every child may not fit into the model of the Reichert House, all of our children will benefit from specifically targeted activities designed to help build character, improve conflict resolution, improve academic success, explore the arts and sciences, or learn leadership skills. The county has taken a bold step in creating the Children's Services Council to make sure all of our children are ready by the time they enter kindergarten. We need to do the same for our K through 8 students. And if we fully invest in our children, I am sure we can achieve Dr. Roberts' 100% goal, watch juvenile crime plummet, teen pregnancies fall, and hope become the default outlook for our community's children. In order to do all of this, we need to come together as a community. Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, regard one another as more important than yourselves. In the coming months, I will be taking action meant to build bridges and break down walls. I will be hosting events that have strangers sitting down to share a meal together, discussing the hopes and frustrations they have in our community. I will be leading a Bring It Out Front night, where I ask our city to bring our activities to the front porches, front yards, and courtyards. We will encourage neighbors to talk, strangers to share stories, and hugs to be exchanged. I'm starting a mayor's book club in order to engender a community conversation on a variety of topics that I believe will help us move forward in becoming a more perfect city. Once we learn more about each other, we will learn to trust one another. And when we trust one another, we will allow ourselves to love one another. So whether it be a vibrant arts and cultural community, a vibrant entrepreneurial system, safe and lively neighborhoods, a cutting-edge government and people-centered utility, an unprecedented collaboration between public and private, unified drive for preeminence by university, college, school board, and city, or the emergence of the collective exceptionalism coursing through the veins of our residents, Gainesville stands ready to answer the call. My belief in what our city can achieve is of the first magnitude. I have the highest expectations of our city leaders, staff, and our residents. And I expect all of you to hold me to the highest standards of excellence. It is only when we collectively agree that we are all willing to do the hard work necessary to create a more perfect city that we can achieve what no other community, not ours, not any, have achieved. Preeminence, being better than all of the rest. So I call to you to stand with me with a full appreciation of our past and a resolute view of our future, committed to achieving what has never been done, committed to a more perfect Gainesville. Thank you. So we have a little business to take care of here. And before we head back to City Hall, we have a day's work ahead of us, an evening's work. But I'll remind all of you, before we take care of our little business up here and adjourn, there are refreshments. Please stay and mingle. If all of us can't get to all of you, we'll be sure to catch up in the future. But we all appreciate you being here and showing us your love and support today. With that, is there a motion on the floor? Commissioner Carter?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion, but prior to that, I want to make a statement.
Why don't you use the mic so everyone can hear you?
Helen, I want to thank you for being a friend. I want to thank you for being the strong word when I needed it. I want to thank you for being the calm before the storm and sometimes the calm during the storm. With that, I am honored to nominate you as Mayor Pro Tem.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Commissioner Budd? So there's a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion of this item? Any members of the public? Hearing none, we'll move back to a vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Pro Tem Warren. Thank you again. Having no further business before the commission at this time, this meeting stands adjourned, and we will reconvene at City Hall as close to 1 o'clock as possible.